where the Nigerian Federal Government says it will stop granting licenses to gas companies with no capacity to build pipelines for gas distribution. Now this, the government said, became necessary to discourage the transportation of compressed natural gas through the roads. The Minister of State for Petroleum Gas, Ekperikpe Ekpo, made this disclosure while visiting Abeokuta for an on-the-spot assessment of the CNG explosion at Ita, Osun. And joining us on the news is Dr. Chinnan Dikwal. He is the Vice Chairman, the African Energy Council, and he joins me live. Good morning, and let's get started. Financial viability and technical competence are part of the requirement for most tenders. Was this not applied in the sector before license were even given to begin with?
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here. So, to your questions, were licenses, was financial, assessments and technical considerations done before licenses were issued? I would actually take a step back from that. Usually when things like this do happen, the causes of them are not very apparent. I know we're very quick to rush down and say, it's either the recklessness of the driver or X, Y, and Z. But usually the right thing to do would be for us to undertake a root cause analysis, for us to determine, and it's a very systematic process, what the root cause analysis is. You would ask fundamental questions that help you to isolate exactly what happened. And once you localize what happened, then from there, you develop mitigation circumstances around that. We haven't done that. I've seen it in the news already. There are lots of blame trading, even from officials, through the government officials. But that should not be the way. A full investigation should be happening right now so that we determine exactly what happened and then come up with solutions to solve it. But I was going to say, just real quick, normally in this kind of circumstance, there are several failures that all come together to make this big type of failure happen. It's a very tragic circumstance. I'm not sure you saw the videos, but it's a massive ball of fire that consumed one person and several cars and several shops. Now, usually there are several things. One is the overall failure of the system, the systemic failure. And when I say the systemic failure, what I mean by that is, we have a huge tanker that's carrying petroleum products, compressed natural gas, 250 bar, okay? So it's a lot of pressure, 2,250 times atmospheric pressure. It's a lot of pressure. What agencies are responsible for guiding that? Was the road safety involved? Did they make that happen? How about the fire service? All of those things in place. What's the state of the vehicle, the brakes? What government agencies need to ensure that before it gets to a road, that vehicle, is fit for purpose? Number two, there is the human factor, associated with that. What's the state of mind of the driver? Is he observing speed limits and all the things around that? What's his driving style like? All of those. And then beyond that, you have other technical details around, is the car even fit for purpose? That vessel, the pressure vessel. So all of these things come together to demonstrate this kind of failure. And I think that what we should be doing is undertaking a root cause analysis so we understand exactly what happened, as opposed to creating blame here and there.
Let's eliminate road transportation, shall we? And then look at our rails. Can rails be used as well?
It's a good one, without a doubt. We can use rail transportation, so a very smart question. If we do that and we have the network, then that means that some of these accidents could be minimized to a certain level. But bear in mind, even if you're using rail transportation, you've got to recognize that the rail will take you to a central depot, and then these vessels will still have to go to this depot and take it to the last mile. So usually the big problem is the last mile of delivery. The vessel goes, takes CNG, 250 bar, and the last mile delivery, to wherever it is. And that's usually where the challenge is, So yes, rail could work, but again, we go into the question of infrastructure. Do we have the rail infrastructure up and running? And again, just to bring to your attention, the minister said that probably going forward, we would look at piping. So anybody who takes a license, they would make it part of the mandate for them to build piping into the homes of Nigerians. That's also a great alternative. We have a huge amount of capital expenditure for anyone to. These are the fundamental questions that we need to deal with. And when you listen to the minister and some of these agencies that are pontificating, the truth about it is, if you ask me, much of the failure lies with government. Much of the failure, because we have these rules and laws in place, they are just not enforced. So if you look at what happened in Port Harcourt, I'm bringing that in now. Port Harcourt around Eleme, we had that tanker that went down and went up in flames. It's exactly the same. Two vehicles collided. But the question there is, where's the road safety? Road safety commission. Did they know this flammable vessel was going to get onto the road? Where's the fire service? All of these things are systematic failures that government has failed to do. And then the roads, you go into a conversation of the state of the roads as well. That's also another issue, because sometimes they're so bad that they ultimately cause this situation.
And another thing to even look at is, if you're laying the pipelines, what happens to maintenance? Because infrastructure and maintenance is a problem here in this part of the world. But Chinnan, this was a wonderful conversation. Many thanks. We hope to have you on to go in depth on this another time. But many thanks for coming on.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, Bob.